Volkswagen might be the owner of some of your dream cars like Bentley, Lamborghinis, and Bugattis, but how did a company which was created by the Nazi government for the people grow to become the biggest auto company in the entire world? Many of us know that Volkswagen is a German car brand. In fact, they are one of the top 5 German car brands alongside the likes of Mercedes, BMW, Audi, and even Porsche. While the other 4 manufacturers are geared towards the luxury end of the car market, Volkswagen was a car designed for the people. In 1934, the Nazi government in Germany created a project with the aim of producing an affordable, reliable car for the people of Germany. 3 years later, the company for the preparation of the German Volkswagen Limited, or this, was established in 1937. The next year, the name was changed to Volkswagen Work GmbH, and their main plant was in Wolfsburg. Before the company could really move forward, the World War II broke out and the people's car was put on hold, and instead the focus was on their war efforts producing vehicles for the military. By the end of the war, the German Labour Front was running the plant and had originally intended for it to be an exemplary factory for the production of the KDF wagon or the original Beetle. And although a few models were made, it was nowhere near the intended volume, and the plant was instead tasked with producing military goods by the approximate 20,000 forced laborers working there. In 1945, the Nazis were defeated, and as the National Socialist Organization ceased to exist, meaning the Wolfsburg plant had no proprietor. Originally, the plant was scheduled for demolition as it was a former armament plant. However, following the liberalization of the forced workers, the Americans established a workshop in the plant, and this prevented it from being demolished. The British military then took over the trusteeship of Volkswagen Work GmbH and had assigned Major Ivan Hurst for the Wolfsburg plant. Major Hurst soon saw potential in the plant for much more than using it as a repair shop, and many of the machines and tools that were originally in the plant before it was repurposed for military use were returned from various other locations, and soon production of the Volkswagen saloon there seemed achievable. At the end of the war, the German economy was devastated, poverty was widespread, and large portions of the transportation network, including roads, railways, and many of the general population had no means of transportation. Major Hurst saw this, and the plant he was responsible for as the senior resident officer, and it saw the economical value vehicle production would hold. This included restarting a profitable industry in the country, providing secure employment to workers, helping Germany to rebuild its economy, and much more. It soon became clear that using the Wolfsburg plant was in the line with the British policy for Germany, which saw material security and future perspective as key to the development of the democracy in the country. In August of the same year, the British military government issued an order to the plant to supply 20,000 vehicles for the military administration, and then for a further 20,000 2 weeks later. This decision meant that dismantling the factory was postponed for 4 years in order for the vehicles to be produced, but beyond that, the future of this particular plant and the Volkswagen brand remained uncertain. By the end of 1947, the factory was starting to export vehicles, and by 1948, they were producing around 19,000 vehicles, with a quarter of these being exported. Alongside this, the Volkswagen plant also supplied spare parts for the growing Volkswagen service networks. In fact, they were becoming so successful that the British trustees decided to transfer management of the plant to an industry expert and return the company to Germany. In 1948, Hendrik Nordhoff was appointed as the managing director, and the later half of 1949, the British military government transferred the trusteeship of Volkswagen Work GmbH to the German government. Since then, the company has gone from strength to strength. They have built factories and plants and opened dealerships around the world. In 1960, the business was named to Volkswagen Work AG, and since then, the world has been knowing it as the Volkswagen Group. Oof, that was a long past about Volkswagen, but now let's see about some key acquisitions that they did over the years. You must go all the way back to 1965 for the date when Audi became a part of the Volkswagen Group. The Volkswagen Group purchased a stake in Audi AG in the early 1960s, but it wasn't until the end of the decade that Volkswagen had absolute control over the brand. At the end of 1964, Volkswagen purchased a 50.1% stake in the former German automobile manufacturing company, Auto Union, which was the earliest producer of Porsche for Audi vehicles. But when Volkswagen gained complete control of another German manufacturer, NSU Motorenwerk, in 1969, it was quickly combined with the former Auto Union. Following this merger, the Audi marque was reborn. The acquisition of Audi AG came during a period of rapid growth for the Volkswagen Group. Today, the Audi AG comprises of companies like Audi, Lamborghini, Bentley, Ducati, and DC Design. Now, with their dream to go global, in 1982, they considered approaching Fiat after Fiat's withdrawal with it. Just to inform who don't know that this Fiat is a Spanish car maker and not a Fiat the tire maker which we have in India. Looking to turn Volkswagen into a global force, Volkswagen were looking to set up a manufacturing plant in Spain. However, it was around this time that Seat were also in talks with a range of other firms including Toyota, Nissan and Mitsubishi for partnerships. But Seat chose Volkswagen and entered into a partnership with them in 1982 to produce the Volkswagen Passat Santana and the Polo Derby models. This ended the production of the Seat Panda in Landabin due to the need to build the Polo. After a purchase of 51% of shares in Seat, Volkswagen increased their stake to 75%. Then they increased their stake further in 1990 to 99.99%, which meant they owned all of Seat. This made Seat the first non-German wholly owned subsidiary of the Volkswagen Group. The Seat Toledo MK1 was launched in 1991 and it was the first model that was fully developed under the complete ownership of the Volkswagen Group. Much like Mercedes-Benz's AMG and BMW as the M range, Seat had Cupra. It's Seat's performance-driven brand made with insane luxury and performance designs. But up until 2018, it wasn't a separate brand. You could get a Seat Leon car with Cupra badging like we get with the Maybachs. But back in 2018, Seat split Cupra into its sub-brand. Now you get individual cars with Cupra badging on it. Following the collapse of communism in 1989 and the rapid onset of a market economy in its wake, the authorities of Czechoslovakia soon realized that Skoda wasn't strong enough to stand on its own. The home-owned car maker was drowning in debt, accrued putting the favorite into production to replace the rear engine 100 series, and was still struggling with quality control that had already made it laughingstock of the industry. BMW and GM were among those interested in taking Skoda on, but at the end it was beaten by Volkswagen and Renault. The Germans got the nod after pledging to invest a remarkable 9 billion Deutschmarks and worked to improve the favorite rather than immediately replacing it. Indeed, it formed the basis of the Felicia in 1994, and it wasn't until the 1996 that Octavia that the first new Volkswagen Skoda arrived. In 1999, the Volkswagen CEO Ferdinand Karl Piech became like a child in a sweet shop. Volkswagen bought Bentley, Lamborghini and Bugatti in a span of few months, cementing their place in the ultra-luxury sports and hypercar market of the industry. Before getting into this acquisition, let's understand that there are two Porsches. One is Porsche AG, which makes the Porsche cars we know, and there is a Porsche SE, which is known as the holding company of the Porsche Piech family. Now let's move ahead. In 2005, Porsche SE, the holding company of the Porsche family, began buying stock in Volkswagen, quickly becoming the group's largest and the most authoritative shareholder. By 2009, they had options to buy 75% of the group. But behind the doors, this hostile takeover was being funded by debt, but we all know what happened in 2008. The financial crisis made banks skeptical on giving huge loans to the family and some also demand for the payment. The situation for Porsche got even worse because the sales were also tumbling at the time. At that time, Porsche SE had only two assets, the Porsche AG, the car company, and a big chunk of Volkswagen Group. So they decided to sell the Porsche AG or the car business to Volkswagen to pay the banks, thus retaining the position of the biggest shareholder in the Volkswagen Group. Volkswagen Group has been one of the most successful pioneers in using the flexible architecture across multiple brands to build a diverse array of vehicles. Currently, there are 4 internal combustion platforms, the MQB, MLB, MSB and MMB, and one Born EV platform, MEB. The second Born EV platform called PPE coming online next year. MEB is for the volume brands Volkswagen, Seat and Skoda, and PPE will be used by Audi in its upcoming A6 e-tron and Porsche in its Macan EV. In 2026, the Volkswagen Group will introduce its Scalable Systems Platform or the SSP. SSP will scale for vehicles from 114 to 1140 horsepower, everything from small city cars to supercars. Volkswagen projects that SSP will be used to build more than 40 million EVs over the platform's life cycle, and like the MEB, the company will license the platform to other automakers. Did you know that the upcoming BEV from Mahindra can be based on the MEB platform? Volkswagen Group is spending $945 million for a new research and development facility in Wolfsburg, Germany to improve its platform design and capabilities, part of an $86.3 billion or £73 billion investment in R&D between now and 2025.